Welcome to another episode on your daily database insight. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the process of creating your database backups using your maintenance plans. Now, it is important to set up your database backups for maintaining your log file and stuff like that. I think we've talked about the different recovery models, and so it stems from whether uh, the type of recovery point objective and the type of recovery time objective. So, most importantly, the control that any database administrator has is the recovery point objective, something we call RPO. So, recovery point objective pretty much in simple terms refers to how much data the business is willing to lose in the event of a disaster. Once we establish the recovery point objective, then we know for sure how to structure the type of backups. And our recovery point objective is the business goal in terms of disaster recovery, and it is backed by the checkbook that the business is willing to pay to maintain their data, and pretty much what the data really, uh, you know, the significance of the data in the business. So you may have, a business that is willing to lose 15 minutes of data, or they're willing to lose an hour of data, or maybe they're willing to lose 24 hours of data. So it goes in terms of that scenarios. In the bank, of course, they cannot lose any amount of data because it's a very sensitive environment. In any other environment, they're willing to lose however much they're willing to lose. That will not break their business. So first thing is you have to understand how to set up your full backups, and then you have to understand how to set up differential backups, and then of course you have to understand how to set up your transaction log backups. So your full backup is pretty much going to be the full changes that have occurred in that database up to the point you've taken that full backup. It's a single backup. I mean, you can split the backup into multiple files, but it is a single backup that captures all the changes of the entire database that have occurred until the moment you take the full backup. And a full backup can be taken regardless of the recovery model of the database. It can be simple, it can be full, it can be bulk log. You can still take a full backup, and it still captures everything in the database up to that point you've taken the full backup. A differential backup is capturing all the changes since the last full backup. So a differential backup can only be taken after the first initial full backup or any subsequent full backup, but it takes the changes since the first initial backup or the subsequent full backup. That is what the differential backup captures. If you take a differential backup on Monday, if a full backup was taken on Monday and you take a differential backup on Tuesday, it captures everything that occurred since Monday full backup. If you take another differential backup on Friday, it takes everything that occurred since Monday's full backup. If you were to take a backup on Wednesday and then you run another differential backup, now it's going to be taking everything. If you take a full backup on Wednesday again and then you take another differential backup on Saturday, it's going to be capturing everything that occurred since Wednesday full backup. So differential backup pretty much is captures everything that occurs since the first initial backup or the last full backup. A transaction log backup captures everything that occurs since the first initial full backup or the subsequent transaction log backup. So if you took a backup on Monday, full backup on Monday, and then you take a transaction log backup 1 hour later, it captures everything that occurred since the first full backup. that is if you took the first initial full backup. But if you took you've been taking full backups for the entire life of this database, then you took a transaction log backups, of course, multiple times, and so you're taking another transaction backups right now. It's going to be capturing the changes that occurred since the last transaction log backup. So anyway, to set up this maintenance plan, what you do is you come over here to the maintenance plans here. You can do a new maintenance plan. Now that we've already set up so many things like the email and all that good stuff, so you just open a new maintenance plan. If you want to set up your database maintenance plan using the inbuilt processes, then that's going to show up new maintenance plan. Let's say this is going to be database backup maintenance plan, and then this launches up. So the first thing we're going to do is wait for this to initialize. Alright, it is initialized, and then I'll click on this subplan section and I'll rename this full database backup. I'll copy that and paste it on the description as well. I'll go to the schedule. I want this backup to run daily. Again, it's going to be dependent on the database sizes that you have, but let's assume we're taking a full backup every day. So we'll schedule this to run daily at, let's say, 11 p.m. Again, you need to find a sweet spot where there's not going to be a lot of resource intensive activity. Now I've scheduled that for daily at 11 p.m. and I would like this to run as a SQL Server agent service account. So I'll click OK. Then on the maintenance plan tasks, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the maintenance cleanup task. I'll grab that one. And then I'm also going to grab the backup database task. And then I'm going to grab the notify operator task. So maintenance cleanup task, I need to delete databases, or I need to delete all databases, right? Okay, I'll double click that. Then remember, it's deleting backup files, so I need to go to the folder where we're going to be deleting these files. I think we have our backups on this location, and I think let's say that is the location, right? Or yeah, that is the location. How to check your default location? You let me cancel this first, just to make sure I'm on the right location. Right click that, go to properties, and go to database settings. My default location is that MS 2017, so I think we're on the right location. So double click that folder, Z SQL Server Backups MS 2017. That's my default location, and I need to include the first level subfolders. That is, every database has its own subfolder, and then I need to keep only 2 days. I'm just gonna keep 2 days of the backup, and the backup extension is gonna be BAK. Remember not to include the period. It's just BAK. That's the backup extension. Then I'll click OK. So the first task is to clean up, and then let's go and take some backups. So I'll open this up. I need this to be all database, exclude anything that is not online. Okay. I need all of this to go to this destination, and I need them to create a subfolder while they're creating the backup, and then that's going to be the backup. In terms of options, I need this to compress my backups, and I need to verify backup integrity, and that's it. So it cleans up because if it fails, if any of these tasks fails, I need to be notified. If that fail or this fail, I need to be notified. So I'm gonna get to the notification section. So if it fails, I need only if one of them fails, so it's logical OR. So if one of them fails, I need to be notified. If this one fails as well, double click it, change the value to failure, I need to be notified. My notification, I need this to be sent to the DPS support operator. Remember how we set up the operator? So I need that to be mailed to the operator with the full backup failure message. The body is full backup failure. Full backup, yeah. Please check. And that's okay. So I'll save that, and once you save this maintenance, remember it is going to create a job right here. And this is the job for the full backup. So if I go to the folder where we have the databases being backed up, and I look at them right there, you can see here that we have a backup that was executed in 5/7/2020. So if I was to run this job, that backup is going to be deleted. That's the cleanup first, and then another backup is going to be taken. So if this was to be executed ad hoc like this, see that it cleaned that up because that's the first step it does, and then it's going to go through all those databases and it is going to create backups in that folder. So that is how this sequence works. Now the next part is I would add another subplan, and I'll call this transaction log backup. Transaction log backup. I want to schedule this. Let's say our recovery point objective is going to be every 2 hours. So I want to schedule this let's say every hour. Every hour is fine. So I'll schedule that for every hour. Click OK. It's going to create the subplan for the transaction log backup in a moment here. So this is the subplan. This one here. So what I can do is I can copy all of these. It's easier to do it this way. I'll copy all of that, bring it over here, paste it. I'll just paste it. I mean, it's just easier, but you have to understand what you're doing for you to be able to do this. So delete. So in this section that says delete old database, I'll change it, all database, all transaction log backups, all transaction log backups. Then what I'll do is I'll double click it, and I'll also save that for 2 days, and go to this folder. Normally what we would do is we would separate the two folders, but I will keep them in this folder for now. And then the extension for the transaction log backup is going to be TRN, so I'll keep TRN, and I'll save. I'll of course delete files based on the age of the file at runtime, and I've also included the first level subfolders. Again, remember this is backups, okay? We are cleaning up backups. Excuse me. Then in this task here, I'm going to change it to transaction log backups. I want to back up all databases and ignore any database that is not online. Okay. Click OK. Come to the destination. It's going to be the same folder. Backup file extensions, TRN. Options again, verify backup integrity, compress backup. Everything checks out. I can rename this. It doesn't really matter, but backup database transaction logs, and then I'll come back to the notify operator, which is the same thing, and I'll just change this message to say transaction log backup failure. So I'll just do please check the transaction log backup failure. Click OK. Save it. So now when I refresh this section, you're going to see another job. There you go. So now we have actually created two things here. We've created a full backup job, and we've created a transaction log backup job and the schedule. And so they're going to constantly maintain the log size and kind of, you know, truncate the log and prevent it from exploding in size. If you ever have a situation where you've run out of space in your log file, there are two things involved. Number one, either you have a heavy transaction, excuse me, either you have a very heavy transaction that is logging a lot of records in your log file and is exploding the size of your log file, or something else would be there was something you're investigating for some weird reason, and you may have disabled your transaction log backup file job, and you kind of forgot to re-enable it, and it's been for maybe 4 days, and your server team sends you an alert telling you that, hey, there's a space warning, we're running out of space and stuff like that. So your transaction log backup is going to be very, very important in every environment to maintain the size of your log. If you want to understand more about database backups, then drop a comment on the comment section, reach out to me, and I'll definitely expound more. If you know anybody else who is struggling to understand more about SQL Server backups, you must show them this video. Anyway, thank you and have a good day.